Ants. This is Wally
and Nanette.
And Nanette. How's everybody doing today? Let me know if you can hear us okay, if you can see this okay. A little bit of a tickle in my throat. So far, so good, I think. Give us a thumbs up. Tell us that this is working. Otherwise, we're kind of running in the dark, and that doesn't help anybody. This is going to be a great show. We're going to talk about reptile shows, and I know some of you in the viewership here are doing reptile shows. We hear you got, Frank says, we hear you guys, you got this, you got this. Thank you, Frank. Everybody hit that like, the thumbs up. So we recently did a show in, where was it?
Fond du Lac.
Fond du Lac. And what show was it, Nanette?
Really? Scaled Up.
Scaled Up Expos Reptile Show. And it was an interesting show because it starts a little bit later, but then it runs a little bit longer. But this was a blast to do. I tell you, Dylan and Brittany do a wonderful job with this show. I love doing reptile shows, and this one was a little bit different. And tonight we're going to talk about that show. But more importantly, we're going to talk about setting up for the reptile show, some of the things that we do. And I actually have a video that we're going to watch throughout this live stream, and we're going to comment on that video. Who do you see here joining us, Nanette?
Yeah, well, we've got Frank, and we've got Sean and Mantis, Liv, Jason, Smith, Cassandra's here, Permian Exotics is here, Jessica Ward is here. I can't see anything else now.
Bryce, did you say Bryce?
No, Bryce is here. Bryce just popped in. Yep. I just saw his name.
We have Liv, Jason, V13 Smith. I don't think I've ever seen that name in our live stream. If I have, sorry, if you're new, thanks for joining. Do you have an extra large jumbo gecko?
Maybe DNA is here.
DNA. Is this Dave? Oh, it says Dave. Hi, Dave. So Dave was at the show. I'm just kind of going through the names here. JP. Dave was at the show. Dave, chime in and let me know how you felt about this show. While you do that, I am going to
do here, an ace.
Some sharing here. So this is pretty cool. I wanted to share just real quick. I hope this works. Wanted to share some pictures because I share pictures on Facebook and Instagram. But I think it would be kind of cool to see some of these pictures. And Nanette, you can comment on these. We're going to go through these real quick.
I haven't seen any of these.
And then we're going to go ahead and start the video.
Can Andrew's you see here. No, I haven't seen what you're doing.
Hi, Andrew.
Before now.
Can you see the pictures?
Yeah, I can see. I'm scared, but I can see. Oh, these pictures. I took these pictures. Okay. Cute little kids holding their geckos.
So one of the thrills that we get is bringing these geckos, and it could be crested geckos, it could be leopard geckos, it could be picta geckos, and actually having somebody hold one of the geckos that has never, ever held a gecko before. I tell you, that's amazing for me to go through that process and then have them ask questions and just see the thrill on their face. It's just a blast. There's nothing like it. And Dave, you did this show. I'm sure that you had some snakes out and you were letting people hold them. And that's always controversial because should you let people hold the animals or not? That's always kind of tricky. But you can see our tables, and we were confronted with something interesting on this show that we've never ever had an issue with before. And that is that the tables were a little bit narrow.
They were like 8 inches narrower.
They were extremely narrow. So limited some of the things that we could do at a show like this, but it presented a challenge, but I think it didn't take any time for us to overcome that challenge. The one thing that we had a problem with, though, is that the tables were a little bit wider.
The lip of the table.
The lip of the tables were wider, so we could only get a couple of lights on the table, something that I didn't anticipate. It just kind of goes to show that you have to be flexible, and you have to go with the flow and do what you think you can do.
The facility was well lit, though, so that was really well.
The facility was well lit. I tell you, I've gone to shows where the facility is more of a hall or a kind of a, I don't know, reception area, and the lighting is really bad, and you have to have good lighting. What's that?
It was the expo center in the fairground.
just a blast to see some of these faces, some of the people. This one, the young man was ready to get a gecko, and he wanted one so bad, right now. And we talked through this whole thing, and mom and dad talked to him, and he was ready to get a gecko, but they just weren't ready with the setup and everything. And I tell you, there's nothing worse that you can do as a salesperson than to push a decision like that. I always recommend, thinking it through, going back home, doing the research, talking to other geckos to see if you can, find the tanks that you need. But I never tried to push sales on anybody. This young lady really knew what she was looking for, and she wanted so bad this red crested gecko. And I tell you, this crested gecko, we cupped up, Saturday at 3:00, and it stayed red until we put it away Sunday night. She was in love with this crested gecko. Now, I can't even pronounce this name. Tiempo de Avivamento. How are you doing? Ken, how are you doing? Thanks for joining us.
Curtis is here too, I just saw.
It was just a blast seeing everybody hold these animals.
She spent a long time at the table with that animal.
She spent a long time. Lots of questions. And that's one of the traps that I fall into. Not traps, but one of the things that I fall into. Look at her looking at her friend there. Like, should I get it? I don't know. Should I get it? That's one of the things that I fall into, is just going through and talking so much. Sometimes I don't do the sales. I'm just going to show a couple of pictures of the setups. This is right behind us. I think I see DNA over there, and with the green sign, if everybody can see that. There's Dab Exotics. That's Dylan and Brittany.
Dab.
D-A-B.
You said DNA.
Okay, bear with me here.
Oh, this was that little one that held.
It was. So a fun show. It was only about, how long was it for us to get up there? Probably about 45 minutes, 50 minutes?
It took me only 46 minutes.
So it was real quick. And let me know if anybody has any questions. Go ahead and throw them in the chat. Otherwise, what we're going to do is something very, very different here. And if you give me a second, I'm going to share a video, and we're going to take a look at our setup. So we plan and plan and plan and plan these shows. We've done several, obviously, but it takes a lot of planning. We take pretty much, I would say, half a day Saturday cupping all the animals up, the isopods, the geckos. But I don't think anybody gets a feel for actually going through the process until you do a show yourself. And again, Dave, I'm sure you know what it's like going through setting up for a show. I'm going to start this all over again. I'm going to turn the volume down for now. So what I did was I put down, and I think I have the wrong video here. Let me remove this, and let me find the right video here. Bear with me, folks. Here we go. So I'm going to turn the volume down.
Sure, put it out there when I'm on the phone.
So you can see that we're starting with a blank screen here. We have two tables. We have the tablecloth started on one. Then it's kind of checking home just to make making sure everything is okay. We've brought in our stuff, and we're going to go from start to finish of setting up this table. And I'll probably skip some spots. Again, if you have questions, let me know. Bryce says, when do you normally start selling out of a colony of isopods? I'm kind of a hoarder, Bryce, and I don't sell until I know I can sell enough, or that I have enough that I can start selling. So that could be 100, it could be 200. If it's something that really takes a lot of time to get going, that could take maybe until I get up to about 200. We recently had a run on dairy cows as an example, and I'm down to probably about 50 to 60 dairy cows. Ooh. Yeah, I know, but we'll see those. We'll see those reproduce in the next couple of months, and it'll just build right back up again.
See how the tablecloth?
So this is really cool. We have had regular tablecloths as our tablecloths for these shows. We went out last year, the year before,
last year,
and purchased these. It looks like I didn't fix my
That's
end
what I'm
over.
saying. See that end?
Yeah, I
It was
didn't
like
fix
that
it.
3/4 of the day.
You should have caught that.
Sorry, I missed it.
We picked up these tablecloths, and I tell you, they were, I don't know, $25 a piece,
they were on
and
Amazon.
well worth it. Well worth it. They really make the table look good. They're easy to put on and easy to take off. It's just, it makes it so much easier. So we have everything in boxes, and if you see here, we have a box for our electrical. We have a box for the geckos. We have a box for the isopods. We have all kinds of different boxes here. Right now, what are we doing?
Oh, we were setting up the sign. We were working on getting it up right away so that we had that done. And we had lots of space behind us with this venue. There was like a huge open area that we had a lot of working space. Which was nice.
There really was. So I have the camera actually set up probably, I want to say 8 to 10 feet away from the table, and I tried to get the whole setup as much as I possibly could. Sandy mentioned, this is a good point, I worry about folks handling my critters, the possibility of sharing parasites from other reptiles they handled. What is recommended? That's a tough call, Sandy. My recommendation, and I will always do this, is that I try to limit to 1 or 2 different geckos that I'm bringing out all the time. I don't, somebody might ask, can I see this gecko? And my usual response is, well, it's a show and they're going to act a little wild. They've been cupped up all day. So sometimes I try not to bring out certain ones, but there are some animals that we take to the show to show off. We had one that we actually took to hundreds and hundreds of shows, Speckles. Everybody looked for Speckles when we got there. And Speckles was with us for a long time, never had any issues whatsoever. Dave says boxes are a must, absolutely. And
organized boxes.
And you can see that we're just kind of setting things aside, getting organized. I'm telling Nanette probably what to do here.
Yeah, right.
Cassandra says hand sanitizer before and after handling animals. I always carry some in my pocket. That's a great idea. I don't, my worry is with hand sanitizer, somebody comes around and just has a glob of the hand sanitizer. I don't know how that's going to impact the animal. So we do the same thing.
We do offer it though after they've done it all the time. We've always offered hand sanitizer there.
And Dave is making a really, really good point. I have hand sanitizer available, sanitize before handle. Looks like I was telling Nanette to get going here, and she was just not. She was dilly-dallying around.
Dilly-dallying? I doubt that.
So Dave is saying that, and only one snake at a time for us. Same thing here. We ask people, oh, can I see one of your geckos? Can I see this gecko? So we'll bring it out, and we won't bring out any others while that one's out. So if other customers are waiting, we'll always take that gecko and put it back in the cup and not, just pass it around to everybody else. We always ask people to hold the gecko. We show them how to hold with both hands open like this and let the gecko walk from hand to hand. And I am always right there with them just in case we ask people to hold the gecko over the table all the time. Hi, Dennis. So, hi, Emily. Emily just joined us. I don't know what I was doing. What was I doing right there?
We were messing around because they were yelling at us from the other side. We were talking.
Who was yelling at me, Tom, or was that Dave?
No,
I think Dave was yelling at me.
No, his wife was over there. She was putting in her 2 cents worth. As you were trying to put the sign holder together.
So right now what we're doing, I'm going to see if I can get this.
Still trying to get the sign up.
I don't know if that works that well. I'll see if I can move over here. So what we're doing right now, and I'll enlarge it in just a second, we're putting the sign up. We had these signs made for us how many years ago, Nanette? Oh my gosh, 15 years ago?
15 years.
I'm going to say 10 years ago, and they worked out really well. I can't advise more as you grow your business, if you do these reptile shows, find one of these signs, and they're very, very inexpensive. What we have is a couple of tripods there that I purchased together for like $25 or $30. And the sign, I don't think was more than, I don't know. Do you remember how much that sign
we got
was?
those signs. Really, we got a good deal on those signs through my sister's company at the time. I don't know, maybe $15 a piece.
Maybe
they weren't
$15,
expensive.
$20 a piece. I'm sure now they're
What'd you do to
probably
the
50.
sign? Look at that. You dropped your end.
Did I?
Yeah, you dropped it down. Look at that. It was hanging fine, and then you started, and the whole thing
I think
dropped.
my end is right. I think your end is wrong.
No, mine is still attached on top.
I'm playing around here, folks, just trying to get a good angle.
You were playing around quite a bit.
Yeah, it looks like I'm playing around with the sign. I'm playing around with the live stream. Cassandra says, when did you guys start doing reptile shows? I would have to go back. There was an Illinois show, Lake County Reptile Expo, I think it was called, that I started doing. It couldn't have been 2 or 3 years after I started keeping geckos. So I keep saying 20 years, but it's probably I've been in the hobby probably 21 or 22 years now.
The kids were
but
in high school.
the kids
just starting high school, Christopher.
So do the math, because I don't have my
it was
calculator
like
here.
20 years ago.
20 years ago. So we started doing
time.
small shows. It wasn't shortly after that we started doing NARBC in Chicago. And now we do mostly the smaller shows around our area, simply because I just love talking to people, and I feel like some of the bigger shows are harder to do. We don't need to watch us doing the sign thing all the time. Cassandra, what tips would you give to someone who is attending the first time as a customer or as a vendor? Let's talk about that. That's an excellent, excellent question. And I want to see a show in the comments. Show of hands. You can't do that, can you? Leave a comment in the comments. Let me know if you've ever been to a reptile show. Say yes, and that will indicate that you've been to a reptile show. Yeah, Dave, Nanette does Frank, Nanette does do all the heavy lifting. Okay, while you tell me if you've been to a reptile show before, Dennis says yes. I will give you a tip for your very first attending a reptile show. Walk around before you purchase anything. If you go to the reptile show, Lizzie says no. If you go to a reptile show and you want to buy a leopard gecko, let's say, walk around first to find out what's all out there. Talk to the vendors. Walk around again. See what everybody, kind of get a feel for 1 or 2 of the vendors that you want to revisit, and then walk back around and see if you missed anything. That's always, always, always my first recommendation for a reptile show like this, is walk around and get a feel and talk to the vendors, and make sure that you feel comfortable, obviously, with the animals, and make sure that you feel comfortable with the vendors. So having said that, I said a key point, and that was that you're looking for, let's say, a leopard gecko. Hopefully, the first point is, figure out what you want before you go to a show. The worst thing that you can do is say, I'm going to go to a reptile show and I have $100 in my pocket. I'm going to buy something. Do your research, kind of get a feel for what you want to find first, what you want to buy. Do your research on those animals, and then go to the show informed, so that you kind of have a feel for what you're looking for.
And then she said, or as a vendor.
You give me a tip on a vendor.
Have a checklist of everything that you need to bring with you, so that you don't forget things. Make sure you always have electric with you and lights with you. Those are the 2 top things.
And the animals.
Well, yeah, but the main part. Scroll up or whatever. Yeah, because there were a couple other really good questions in there too that were flying.
I'm going to go back through here. So we have a lot of yeses.
That one was an interesting question. JP's.
Okay. I'm going to pull that in. We have Andrew says yes. Is that Dennis or Denise? I'm terrible.
Can't see it. Dennis.
Dennis. Sorry, Dennis. I just called you Denise. I'm terrible with names.
Denise has an E.
I know now. Emily, yes. Takda says yes. Chantel says yes. Curtis, yes. Lizzie, not yet. Bryce, yes. Just went to NARBC in St. Louis, I'm assuming.
That's an overwhelming show to go to.
Yes, as a customer and as a U.S. ARC volunteer. Way to go, Kevin. Way to go, Kevin. A lot of yeses. Dennis says, take your time. What a great point. Okay. So JP says, I've always wondered something and I hope it's okay to ask. It's always okay to ask. Always, always, always. That's how we learn. So is it financially worth it to vend in reptile shows? I think so. The hard part is sometimes when we do these reptile shows, I'm going to see if I can make this bigger a little bit here so we can kind of see what we're doing.
Sure. My back the entire time.
Yeah, we got your back, and then we got my back, and I'm disappearing somewhere. I'm going to run off and do
probably
something.
Going to talk to somebody.
I probably want to talk to somebody, and Wes is walking around.
Forget it.
Wes is that's why I left, because Wes came. I'm just kidding. Wes, if you're watching, don't leave. I'm just kidding. Is it financially worth it to vend? I can't. I can't. I absolutely can. We did one show where we actually did 2 shows the same day where we lost money. Every other show that I've done, and we've done hundreds. We've done hundreds of shows. We've made money, and it's always worthwhile. So the money part of it, and if you know me by now, you know that the money thing isn't what drives us to these shows. It's the exposure, it's the PR, it's the meeting people, it's talking to people, it's getting the word out about reptiles and showing our passion so that hopefully we can have people come back to us and buy from our store or talk to us or ask additional questions, or maybe sometimes watching our YouTube channel and hitting the like button on our YouTube channel. But I think reptile shows are absolutely worthwhile to vend, but you really have to kind of think through that whole process, and you have to, let me get back out of this a little bit. You have to kind of think about what you want to take. You have to kind of plan it. You have to diversify. If you look on our table, you can see on the far right, we have our geckos. Then we have isopod supplies. Then we have isopods, and then we have food. There's been many, many, many shows where we have only sold crested geckos, or other shows where we have sold leopard geckos, or other shows where we've only sold isopods. And I say that, but I'm talking, 90% of the sales is from this area, and all the other items make up the other 10%. Usually our shows are very diverse in that we're selling something of everyone. Just like this show, we sold some isopods, we sold some high-end geckos, we sold some high-end crested, some low-end crested. We sold a lot of food. We sold Pangea. Did we sell any shirts? We didn't sell any shirts.
No, we didn't sell any of the t-shirts this time.
Otherwise, we sold just all across the board. So I have a video for members from our Buy Me a Coffee site. I have a video that describes how to kind of go about doing a show and some pointers on doing shows. So my number one tip, if you're thinking about doing being a vendor, is to think through the process and try to understand the market. Go to shows and figure out what's selling. Walk around again a couple of times and see what's moving off of tables. Watch customers taking or buying items, and get a feel for what you want to bring to a show. It's so important to kind of diversify and know what you want to bring.
It's also going to depend on what shows you're going to too, because some of the really large nationwide shows are a little more expensive to be at versus some of the smaller shows that are more local for us too. So there's the cost you have to kind of weigh back and forth. But man, you put that camera just so you could see my back the entire time.
Derriere.
And you know what else I noticed? You still haven't come back. Where did you go?
I think I'm in the car smoking.
It was setup time.
I think I'm in the car smoking. I think I'm doing a beer.
I know where you went. You went to fill the water bottle for the cleaning the cups.
Yes, absolutely. Okay.
That took forever.
Okay, what's the name? Rebelliculus 407. My question is, where are you located in the U.S.? That is morning time. I'm in Florida and go to Repticon Orlando.
Where that is located in morning.
We're in Wisconsin. We're just west of Milwaukee. So It's not morning time here, that's for sure. For a vendor, don't be sad if you sell nothing. Dave, absolutely. Absolutely. Just remember, you just talked to a ton of people and probably gave great advice. Oh my gosh, what a great, I give that comment a 5-star for sure, because this show was interesting because we had just come off of a sewer fest, which we probably one of our top. Hey, look at that.
And you don't have the water bottle.
Where the heck did the water bottle? Did I put it down? I bet you I put it down.
Yeah, whatever.
I think I put it down. Didn't see everybody say, yeah, Wally, you just put it down. Anyways, I'm back. And Nanette's yelling at me, and I'm like, give me a break. What was I saying? We did Sewer Fest, and Sewer Fest was probably one of our top non-NERVC, probably one of our top 5 shows ever. We did this show, and it was Midland. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. But, you know, you have to set your expectations and don't walk away if you have a not great show and say, oh, this stinks and I'll never do another show. It adds up. People see you coming to these shows over and over again, and they know to expect you. Chantel, that's fantastic. A week and a half you're doing a show. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm not an expert, but I certainly can give pointers. Is business license required for a show? What another excellent question. Good luck, Chantel's Critters, on your show. Anything for that?
Well, we have our tax ID number for Wisconsin, and we have your business federal number. They don't ask for them most of the time. We've only been to, was it Iowa that we went to that we had to give them our number because of the taxes?
Yes.
Because then we had to pay taxes for that show, but we don't have to ever show it. Nobody ever asks us locally for that.
Give out your business cards. I've done lots of stuff with vendors after the show. Absolutely. So after a show, I am dead tired. We come home, we put away the animals. This last show, we put away the animals. We ran to a family event afterwards. And congratulations, 20 years in Awana's service. And, you know, so we're dead tired. But, you know, I came home, and that night I started answering messages. I would say that we probably had 20 or 30 messages just from the show.
Just be careful with your business cards too. When you put them out, we used to spread them on our table so people could grab them and go. Kids are collecting them. What show was that we went through? Kids were collecting them. All of a sudden, halfway through the show, I had no business cards left.
We're going to show you something interesting that we've done before, but we did more so this show. And once I see us putting this out, I'll let you know. I'm going to come back to Kevin in just a second. But so Nanette, what are you doing right now?
Oh, and the video.
Yeah. I'm on the live stream, Wally.
I was reading comments. I am putting out the food and rearranging how I had it because I didn't like it. So I had to fix that. And now that we've added some new flavors, I had to kind of readjust what I was doing. And right there, I'm probably putting a couple price stickers on because I probably missed a couple.
So we've got the food there. Yep. We're going to do
I'll do the isopods next.
I'm pointing to the screen like everybody can see this.
Can I?
What I am doing is it never fails. It never, ever fails. And I see Dylan right behind me there, behind the sign now. He's coming over to yell at me or something. So it never fails. If you catch 100 geckos, 89 of them will poop in their container so that you have to clean the container.
Yeah,
so there goes Brittany.
That's the job I'm not doing.
No. So I have my little bucket there, and I'm taking paper towel out and the poopy paper towel. And then I put in a new fresh paper towel and put the geckos on the table. I am so far behind on comments. For gecko diet, do you guys use Pangea or something else? We use Pangea 100%. How about that? Okay.
Oh,
doing a beer.
They're commenting on what you were doing.
I apologize. I'm so far. You guys are leaving these great comments and great suggestions. Doing marketing research before getting into breeding vending is very important also. In fact, I decided against the breeding and vending after doing that in my area. There's niches. I'll say it over and over and over again. You have to find your niche.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're kind of seeing us work there a little bit. Hey, Frank, I'm working. I'm actually doing something. So
that's because I won't do that job.
So there. So absolutely. But I always say, and Dave, you can comment on this. If when you did this show, was there a niche that you said, oh my gosh, I should have jumped in, or I could jump in, or I could do this? There's always a little niche that you can get into. I realized a long time ago that I didn't want to work with all of the higher end crusted, I mean, super high, state of the art, lily white, xanthic, crusted geckos, because it would take too much of a devoted time period for me to work on those. So I sell a lot of geckos to families, and once in a while I'll produce a high-end red or a high-end pinstripe or something like that, and I'm just fine with that. That's what we do. So what a great point, Kevin, in doing your research.
It's supposed to be 80 degrees here.
Wow. Okay. Frank's saying, yell at him, Nanette.
Always, Frank.
Well, do you ever need a little extra help? I always need help. Oh, do you mean with the geckos in the show? I guess, yes, I do always need, I'm always in search of time. Andrew, I've talked to him recently about this, and Jennifer today, if it sounded like I was short, Jennifer and I exchanged like 178 messages today back and forth. And if it seemed like I was short, it was because time was just gone today immediately. I got up early, didn't eat breakfast, didn't eat lunch, and all of a sudden I was behind everything. Thank you. I'm kind of having a freak out.
Oh, because she's getting ready for her first show.
No,
relax.
You
can do this.
It's no big whoop. Go enjoy yourself. Put your animals out. Talk to people. Show your passion. If you don't sell anything, unless it's one of those NARBC shows where you're going to kick out $500 to $1,000, it's no big deal. Learn. Walk away from the show, like I said in another video before. Walk away after the show and say, okay, what can I improve in? What can I do different to make these shows better? Especially the first show. Does anyone have information on Lacey Act? Will this affect your business? I'm going to skip that because that's so... I mean, we could spend another 4 hours on that. You can, all the shows that we've been going to recently have been putting the Lacey Act out on the table and giving it to us. So if people have questions, we can answer from there. Give them out by hand. We're going to see in just a second what we changed over to. And I think it's a better deal. And that's a really good suggestion. Chantal, you will do great. What show are you vending at? I'm going to have Isopod, springtails, and tarantulas. Excellent.
You'll do great with springtails.
Selection.
For sure.
Good selection.
They go. Jennifer said Alana. How does she know Alana?
You're gonna have to talk to Jennifer on that.
I guess so.
I'm just kind of grabbing some comments here. If I miss yours, I apologize, folks. I've seen kids grab a stack of business cards from vendors and they start selling them for $1.
Oh.
Brilliant. I'm going to do that at the next show. I'm just going to grab a handful from some people. Okay. If you are a vendor, either first time or have attended before or talked to other vendors.
Definitely.
Yes.
That's how we found out about the tablecloths, because we asked that guy next to us where he had gotten them and he talked to us about them.
Sandy, last year I moved from a state that had a lot of high-end reptiles to a state where the price point of reptiles is far lower. I'm going to be in the hole for more years. That's a good point. You kind of have to know your market and know what you can and can't sell, and you kind of have to go with the flow and adjust and be flexible.
Remember to smile and stay off your phone if you're vending. I agree. Nothing is more irritating than walking around and seeing a vendor texting or scrolling through their phone and not even paying attention to you.
I'm as many people have said, I am not a smiler. When I'm I'm going to see if we can do this. If you look at me, I'm just not smiling. It
It's
looks
'cause
like
you're
I'm just
working
having the
hard.
worst day of my life.
No.
And people literally will say, "Can I take a picture with you?" And somebody else will say, "Well, you have to smile." I just never smile. But I start talking about animals, and the enthusiasm and the passion starts bubbling up, and that's what you have to do. You have to show your passion. Absolutely. Nanette? What's my number one rule at shows? If you're vending a show with me at my table, I see my table, it's our table. But if one of our sons is vending, what's the number one rule? He knows absolutely down pat.
No chairs.
No chairs.
You have to stand through the whole show and your phone is not out unless you're using it Foursquare.
We
you always
we
stand
have
at a
been
show.
asked several times, you guys don't sit down. Why don't you sit? You guys don't eat at a show. Why don't you eat at a show? My feeling, personally, folks, my feeling is that if you're sitting down, and there's circumstances, there's exceptions. Don't get me wrong. Everybody has to do what they can do or must do. But for us, we're able to stand up the whole time. So we stand up. And what that tells, I hope, our customers is that our number one job is to pay attention to you walking through, not to sell you something per se, but to talk to you and work with you on educating you.
But there are some vendors that are very good at sitting at their table and working with people and talking. So there's nothing wrong. It's just, we just feel it's more comfortable. And I think with the kids, it was just easier to get in that routine because the kids would just, if they sat, they'd get on the phone or something. So just easier.
Bryce is, yes, absolutely. Bryce is saying, do you like to bargain with people? No, I don't ever bargain. If you're coming to one of my shows, I don't ever change the price on.
You should see my price sheets at the end of the show, Bryce.
What does that mean?
That means you mess me up a lot.
By giving discounts to people.
Discounts.
What I typically do is if somebody's looking at like a high-priced female period or picked as an example, and they're looking for a male too, don't tell anybody, folks. Don't tell anybody, but sometimes I'll throw in the male for free or a significant discount. Okay, Sandy, that's all I'll say about discounting animals at shows. Sandy is asking, have you all experienced stuff? We're going to talk real quick about two different instances. Nanette, you want to cover the first one that we had recently? And I'm not going to call this a threat.
A theft.
Threat?
No.
Go ahead.
It was just an Isopod situation where they picked up, I had sold them springtails. And I'm not even sure if the person knew that it happened at the time. I realized it later, but it was a higher end Isopod. First time we had brought it with us. And I believe the person put the cups of the springtails down on top of that cup. And I don't know if it was in the time when she was exchanging her money or if it was intentional, but picked up the cups then and walked away. And I didn't realize it until later. It really bothered me that I had lost the Isopods for quite a while he just kept saying it happens. It's okay. It's the first time it's ever happened to me though. So I learned that I now take the Isopods and check the pricing and check them off my sheet and then hand them back. And it was okay.
I had a situation probably the second or third year of doing shows where I had some pretty high-end geckos sitting out. And a father and son came up to the table and an older couple. God, I remember this like it was yesterday, and it was 20 years ago. Older couple came up to the table, talking to them. I looked at the gentleman with the son, and I said, I'll be right with you. And I recognized him, and he was a friend or a helper of another vendor of mine, friend vendor at the show. And I turned back, helped the person. I looked back, and they were already walking away, like not even 20 seconds later. I looked down at the table, and when I had turned the first time, they were holding probably about a $500 red crested gecko female. And when I looked back, they were walking away, and that female was gone. And it hurt a lot. It hurt me a lot because not so much losing the animal, but to think that a father could have that happen with his son right by his side, that he could go through it. It was just such a terrible thought that could have happened. Okay. Let your passion calm your nerves. Absolutely. Okay. Victor, right on. I'm just kind of checking.
I'm trying to see as you're scrolling here.
garter snakes are hot right now. Garter snakes
They're
are way
really
hot.
hot.
Okay. And then giving cards out by have so the kids don't get them.
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
handing them
Exactly.
out. Yep.
Yep.
And we do that when people purchase something a lot of the times, but we used to have them out, especially if we were on a busy show and people could at least grab it.
So yes, indeedy. Yeah, we saw that. We don't have cameras set up, but I know the person that did, and they were prepared. I'm going to jump back over to the screen so we can see more
That was
of
a
what's
big
going on.
show too, though.
So right now, Nanette has the isopods out. She has the food out. I'm still dilly-dallying around with, it looks like
Animals.
the geckos.
Yeah, also, just so you realize, this is not regular customers that are in here at the time. These are other vendors.
Good call.
That are walking around and checking out each other's tables, which happens quite often. And you need to be flexible and understanding when they start moving things or looking at them. They're just trying to get to see what's out there before the shows. So we're still haven't started the official show yet. We're always set up by the time that show starts.
What were the times for this show?
This one was 10 o'clock for a VIP and then 11 o'clock for the actual show. So this is probably about 9:45 that we were just finishing up. And I was changing my whole positioning of the isopods because we had changed our process and our signage. So I was grouping them by categories instead.
JP, I smiled when we took the picture. I think because you had your arm around me and you were tickling my stomach or something.
Oh, good Lord.
Oh, good Lord.
You said that on a live?
Yeah, I did. Oh, crazy.
Yes, you are.
Here's what's interesting. Okay, here's a secret for anybody listening. Don't tell anybody. So I missed the geckos before we bring them. So we catch them Saturday. We used to do it Sunday morning, and it just got to be too much of a hassle. I missed everybody. Should I tell the secret? It's not a secret. I bet you everybody does it. If you have crested geckos, don't miss them the day that you catch them. Miss them just before the show starts. If you miss them, so everybody right now is wet, moist, damp, except for the crested geckos. And here I'm misting the crested geckos, and that tends to fire them up. I don't know if that's a secret. Everybody probably knows that. I hate when people don't talk to you. I do Comic-Con, and they are mostly on their phones.
Yeah.
Lizzie, do you mean the vendors or do you mean the customers? I'm guessing the vendors. Wes is back again.
Wes kept coming back.
I think we had to tell him eventually, go Wes, go away. No, I don't think we did that. No. Vendors, yes. It just feels wrong that vendors are on the phone. Now here, again, Nanette and I are preparing the show, and we have a lot going on before the show starts. What time was the VIP? 10 o'clock. So this is probably about 9:40, 9:45.
9:45-ish,
yeah, something like that. So at that time, we still have quite a bit to do, but we talk to people. We keep going and doing what we're doing.
And vendors realize that you're busy, and they'll talk to you for a few minutes, and then they'll walk away. If you're busy, they know.
Exactly. Jessica, nobody would understand this, but I am about the biggest introvert. I am fine sitting in my office right here 14 hours a day and sometimes jumping on messages. It's way, way out of my comfort zone to stand in front of a table or behind a table like this and talk to people. But it takes me about a customer or two, and then I start warming up and I start realizing that I'm talking geckos, and then it's hard to shut me up.
Everything's all okay.
The information that we give out, I hope, is more valuable than the money that we're getting in. I'm just jumping down. Me and Abby both have joint issues at times. Fine. We need to sit from time. Yep. Absolutely. Yep. What are we doing to that here? I'm going to make this bigger.
I was probably, somebody was purchasing something because I'm checking it off on my list. Oh, Wes was purchasing he wanted a Isopod, and I was marking it sold and putting it in the back for him.
So
you're just walking in circles, it appears.
Yeah, I'm just walking in circles.
You're just
I'm like,
walking around. Oh, this is when you realize that
Yes.
the light didn't work.
so at this point, it's like, holy cow, I can't get the lights on because the lips are so wide. Jennifer, we did not for the Isopods because we didn't realize until the customer was way gone.
No, yeah, that one I didn't
yeah,
realize for
and
a
that's fine.
long time.
For the crusted, I didn't want to make a scene with Dad and the son. I thought that would be, I don't know. I couldn't pull myself. Huh?
Weren't you alone at that point?
I was alone at the time
you
too.
couldn't walk away.
Yeah, Mantis God, I think so. I'm going to say it was by accident, but we do, like Nanette was saying, I'm repeating myself, but we do check the items from now on.
Yeah, I just do it a different way. And that was a really busy show that day too, and I think I just got sidetracked.
Jennifer, I might take you up on that. Chantel, my husband and I are breeding hognose snakes for the first time. Had first clutch. Yay!
Wow.
I think hognose
cool.
snakes are super hot right now. Good point.
Yes.
And the funny thing is that we don't really, I should probably, you can't even see me. Yeah, you can. We eat breakfast. You eat breakfast sometimes. I always eat breakfast, but then I always miss lunch. And by the time we're done with the show, I'm like starving.
I just don't like, well, you had that happen this time. Somebody came over and let you sample something that they'd gotten from the food truck. And a customer came up within 2 seconds and he had a mouthful of food and you were trying to talk. You couldn't talk until you chewed. And I just...
Carrie, would you consider putting a netting around your table to deter theft? No, never, ever, ever will we be doing that. It hasn't
happened
ever.
Enough.
It's
really just not worth it.
We keep records. I say we like I do this. Nanette keeps records meticulously, and I really think, if it's, I know a couple of times I've not recorded a sale and not recorded the animal and had extra money in my pocket, but seriously, I think we haven't had that many issues that would warrant something like that. I'm just going through here. Wasn't it 9? The VIP opened at 10 and then the show opened at 11.
9 or 11, yep. We were setting up at 9. We got in there.
Yeah, Jennifer, that's because my animals are like $10 a piece and Joe Hups are like $4,000. Yeah.
Piece.
Do all the vendors go by a price list or are they different depending on vendor? It's absolutely, positively different per vendor. Absolutely.
Yep. Everybody sets their own price.
Yes.
That's why it's important to walk around a show and kind of see too what's out there, because you might find something that's not on a high end. If you're at a table that's a high end gecko and you don't want a high end, if you're not looking for a breeding project versus just a pet kind of animal.
I think I'm so far behind right now. Okay, I'm going to speed this up a little bit. Cookie says, how was your first show vending like? It was scary. It really was. But looking back, it shouldn't have been. It should have been far more enjoyable. And the second show was way better than the first. And the third show was way better than the second.
Keep going.
Okay, everybody's saying moist. Okay. 6 months ago, I started a project to breed some Arizona desert micro lizards. Really cool. Breeding season started a couple of weeks ago. Cross your fingers. My fingers are crossed. Dennis, every vendor sets their prices differently. Yep. I'm going to keep going here. Hopefully I'm catching up. Dave, you tell great stories. That's because I have some great good experiences and I have some great bad experiences. I try to limit the amount I blab on these shows because I could talk forever and ever and ever. Thank you though, Dave. Thank you very much. Doug hates me because I talk to everyone and can't stop. Karen, why do you do that? You're there at the show to sell animals. Why do you keep talking to the people? Stop doing that. I joke because I'm not a salesman. I am absolutely not a salesman. And in my mind, it's a hard thing to do that. Okay, talk. Okay, now I have to sell. It's hard. It's really super hard for me to do that. I am not a salesman. Wally, do you include the needed information for Isopods at the shows, or do you direct them to a site? We direct them to a site, and I'm going to show this
to our website.
To our website, yes. I'm going to see if I can show this bigger screen. Nope, they're not down yet. Okay, it's coming, folks. There's going to be something kind of cool that will kind of feed right into that. So, Victor, hold on to that one. Stories from the 1800s in the Wild Wild West. You're going to have to watch some of my older videos for that. I have some old YouTube videos on from the 1800s. Janesville in May, yes.
Ken, I really didn't notice that tablecloth, honestly, until probably 3/4 of the way through the show. I came out of the bathroom on the other end and came walking past and went, "Oh, Wally, you didn't fix your tablecloth." So I will now look at that a little closer every day. Yes, we will be in Janesville in May.
What do you put your isopods in? So we use little. It's like about.
I don't know what they are.
They're probably about a 3 or 4. I think they're a 4-ounce deli cup. They're not a round. They're more of an oval.
I think they're bigger.
A little bit bigger. But then inside we put sphagnum moss, and we put a little piece of veggie. Avoid gas station burritos. Yeah, right. That's the last thing I want to be doing is standing behind that table thinking, I just want to go to the bathroom.
No, that never, ever even went even.
That's gross. Please avoid blocking the opening between tables so other vendors are still able to.
No.
Good call. Hi, Christopher. Are you going to be at the San Jose Reptile show in California this August? Nanette, are we making that trip?
Didn't know about it. I don't think so, babe.
We unfortunately have stayed around Wisconsin and Illinois. Unfortunately, because it has been my plans to go out to California many times, and it just hasn't happened. We just, oh gosh, how do I say this? We just haven't had the animals. Not that we aren't producing a lot of animals. It's just that to be 100% honest, a lot of the animals that we produce are sold far before they even get on our website and far before even we get them to a show. So these shows we probably are selling 60 or 70% of our animals, and then the other up to 5% left over that we put on our store, those are going just word of mouth.
Yes, Victor, it was a Scaled Up Expo.
Yes, it was. I went to the one in Green Bay and got VIP there. Yeah, absolutely. The VIP is well worth it. We use display cases because of that. I know it's a tough call.
You used to use display cases though for your higher end leopards and some of your crusteds way back when.
Yeah, and Karen should use display cases because again, she has $1,000 animals and ours are like $10 a piece. So,
we're cautious with the higher price things too, especially the isopods. I now put them toward the back of the table closer to me. I don't put the higher ones in the front anymore. We really haven't had theft issues, and we haven't heard a lot about them at the shows that we're at either.
We really haven't. We've been very, very fortunate. I'm going to knock on the mic or something here, but one of the other things is I feel very uncomfortable if it's only one of us at the table. So we have both of us at the table a lot. And if the net is helping somebody and I'm not, I'm watching the table and watching down the line. If I'm helping somebody and talking to somebody personally and the net is not, then she'll watch down the line as well.
And we also watch other vendors as things are happening on other tables if we're not real busy at that time too.
Jessica walked by a couple of times. I forgot to say hi. Hi, Jessica.
I have.
No,
you don't eat anything from a gas station.
Okay, this is a good one. So I have found a pet peeve in getting, I suppose I love when people use sphagnum moss. I cannot stand when they use dirt. We started with dirt and it wasn't, within a couple of months that we shifted over to sphagnum moss. Dirt kind of squishes the isopods when they ship.
Well, and you can't show them to people either.
What do you put Hoffs or Magnificus in? 8-ounce 16s? That's a great question. Oh, I'm waving. Everybody's waving. Hi. What do you put Hoffs in? So the bigger ones, great question, Sandy. So the smaller ones, I don't know if we can see the table here, but we can see those smaller deli cups. But we put Hoffman Segai in 6-ounce deli cups, the regular normal deli cups. Yeah, good question. Oh, how do you know how many isopods to place in a cup? If it's something kind of rare, I'll go 11 or 12 maybe in a cup. If it's powder blues, I'm usually putting at least 14 or 15. Magic potions will go 12 or 13. It just all depends. So not a deli setup with dirt, moss, cuddle, bone, food.
No, we don't use dirt and moss. We just use the sphagnum moss, and I use vegetables, fresh vegetables for the food.
Pomona and Anaheim shows. Yeah, I've heard great things about the Anaheim. 28 quart tubs for large. 28. So we're talking.
Did we misunderstand that question?
So Sandy, if it's at a show that we're talking about, then it's larger deli cups.
Right.
If you mean just what do we keep them in, then yeah, Hoffman Segais, I keep a lot of I have probably 3 or 4 groups in 6 quart containers.
Yeah.
Hoffman Sega, some of the Hoffman Sega I have in 12, 15 quarts.
Yep.
God, I really hope somebody doesn't walk by in Wes, don't touch your butt.
What?
Well, we're seeing everybody's butts here, and I just hope somebody doesn't walk by and kind of grab their butt or something. I don't know. All right. Anyone that would steal from you guys, there's a good old-fashioned butt kicking. Absolutely. Boy, everybody's gas station sushi. I had gas station sushi once.
You didn't.
I did. The place was called Joe's Gas Station Sushi and Bait Shop. So it wasn't good.
Oh, gross.
Wow, I think I'm caught up.
On the next show, you need to get your ears lowered. Yeah.
They're not that bad, are they? Yeah, I guess
you'll get a haircut.
It's starting to get a little bit longer. I tell you, when was it? A couple of months ago. It was way. Right, Dave? I was waiting for the same thing.
Okay, keep going.
Okay, so now we have it. Yeah. Had to say it. Wow. And right on cue. Okay, Wedgie Cam. That's what we will call it from now on, Wedgie Cam. Whoever that was, I apologize profusely that we caught you on camera with plumber's butt. Okay. What am I? Okay, I lost my
signs.
I was waiting for. Okay. Where I saw.
What is this? Joe's Barbecue and Foot Massage.
Outstanding.
What is that? A kid in school wrote that in his paper this week.
How do you know how many you should? Oh, Bryce, that's a tough question. So
it's hard.
It depends on the show. And what complicates it even more is some of these shows are, I know what I was going to say, but I'll cover this real quick. How are we doing on time? We're getting pretty close here. We're going to keep going though. How do we know how many isopod contain? I'm going to say that you're asking about containers. Do we bring 1 magic potion or do we bring 20 containers of magic potions? Nanette, you want to cover this? No?
Yeah, I get the checklist and we go down it and you kind of determine the area. We kind of have an idea of what sells better in some areas and what doesn't. Springtails at certain shows go crazy. Other shows, they don't. This last time, Dwarf Whites. The Sewerfest show, I sold out of Dwarf Whites in the first hour. And I had 15 containers with me. This show, I brought home 2 Dwarf Whites out of 10 containers. So it just kind of varies. Certain things I kind of watch and see what we are selling at shows. And if we aren't selling, then I just say, let's drop it down 1 or 2. And we also, it determines on how much we have in stock for that and what our orders are looking like from the store.
Good call. I'm going to cover this and I'm going to go back to the screen real quick because I want to show everybody something that we did different for this show. Victor says, I have a tip for buyers at shows. If you really want something you see, do not leave and come back later, because chances are someone else wants it too. Time and time again. Yes, if you see somebody's table with 20 carrot tail leopard geckos or 20 pinstripe crested geckos, walk around. If you see that animal and you go, oh my gosh, I want that animal, and you're ready and you're prepared and everything, grab it. Hi, Matt. Okay, I'm going to show this screen again, and I want everybody to take a look at where I'm standing and my left hand. That's to your right where Heidi is going to. Heidi from Geckos. So those little yellow signs are cute. Can everybody see those little yellow signs on the table?
Any closer,
I can't. No. I can't zoom in. I can't do my fingers and widen the screen. Somebody was happy there. So those little displays are QR codes. The white ones are taking the person that scans that QR code. Yes, Victor, right on. Takes the person right over to our store and shows them our store page with all the isopods, so that they can get, an idea from what these isopods look like. Can you tell me what a clown looks like? Sure. Scan the page or scan the QR code, go to our page and scroll up a couple of times and you'll find Armadillidium clue guys. The yellow, who is that on the screen? The yellow signs on the table, little yellow signs, the little 5x5s, I think they are, is a QR code to our links, like YouTube links and Facebook links and my store link. And our hope was that we could get away from business cards and just use those QR codes. And I think that we're going to get there. But we still had a lot of people, I mentioned time and time again, when somebody said, do you have a business card? I would say, yes, we do. You can scan the QR code and get many of our links to Facebook and YouTube and TikTok and our store, or you can take a business card. And like 9 out of 10 times they took a business card. But a lot of people did scan.
A lot of people scanned, especially to see what the isopod looked like instead. It worked, but it's the first time we did it.
Oh,
now we're back to me talking on
done.
The phone.
Yeah, Nanette's like, okay, we just finished up the show. We put everything away here.
Wally's gone again.
Wally's gone again. We don't even have enough money from the show to buy gas for the trip home. Jordan, come pick us up. Chantel, good luck with your show. If you have any questions, let us know. We're kind of wrapping it up right now anyways. This was very different, folks. I know it's not a normal Fusion developer. I agree. That was the quickest hour, I think, ever, except if you're actually in a show and doing a show, because the time goes by like crazy until the last hour. Once you get to the last hour, it's like, are we done yet? Are we done yet?
It kind of just depends.
Sometimes it just kind of dies off. One of my problems at these shows is it's just hard to get away from the table and to try to walk around. I'm going to add this to the stream. I'm going to make this big while we kind of finish off here. But this is VIP. This is when the VIP actually opened up and people started coming in. So this was, again, 10 o'clock. Mm-hmm. Normal VIP shows normally have a VIP of 9 o'clock. So Nanette's doing the scanning.
This is when the panic started.
Yeah, this was a hard point here. So we normally have, we accept cash. We also accept, we scan cards. But the internet, we had everybody had terrible reception, and we couldn't get scans of charge cards. So what we actually had to do is we had to take PayPal. So luckily we were able to people could, type in PayPal and put our account in and then pay us via PayPal. But we were very fortunate. You can see that we brought some, I don't know what I'm trying to walk around some people here. They were already coming in when I wanted to do the recording here. Doggone it.
You recorded here and you didn't even notice the tablecloth.
Yeah, how about that?
That's really bothering
I
me.
was
Yeah,
I know. It bothered
now
me
it's
too.
bugging me.
You guys were number 2 in line. Unbelievable.
VIP was very busy for a VIP. It got busy quick. Yeah,
It did.
Exactly.
People came in. I again, Sewerfest was super, super busy. We can see Paul's pills over there. D&B. Dave, I think we saw Dave. DNA over there. I'm just kind of looking around. So this is a fair size show. There's a Madison Area Herpetological Society. I'll go, though I'm sure, was it Madison? I don't even know. Wes is way over in the geckos from the get-go. Great people. All these vendors were so super nice and fun to work with. And I think I just fell and lost the camera. I don't know. Everybody was so fun at this show. It was a blast.
Most of the shows are fun.
Okay, Victor's saying something here.
Yeah, he said something about the tablecloth.
Then I noticed he did that. Just walked away like tablecloth is good. Yep. Paul's sign was in the way, but we were back there on the right.
They were on the other side of Paul's sign.
Yep. I think Paul actually did that on purpose. I think he positioned.
Don't do that.
I talked to Paul later and he said, "Hey, did you like the way I positioned my sign so that nobody could see Dave's table?" Oh, and we're losing lights. So
Faith just got here.
Now that Faith is here,
we're going.
Bye-bye, folks. Good night.
No.
Thank you very much for coming.
Nice.
Hit that like button if you like this. We just lost the lights, so we are done, unfortunately. We will all remember the tablecloth that will be in the back of our. Everybody's going to come by and look at our table and go, "Yeah, you fixed the tablecloth, didn't you?"
Yeah, Frank, I'll be watching that tablecloth like a hawk now.
I appreciate everybody coming in. I hope you like this different format. I had a blast. Thank you again, folks. We'll see you next time.